Hey everybody, this is Puck. I'm going to be doing a YouTube review of a Colossus drop build versus a Terran player. A lot of you have been asking for this for a while now, and I finally mustered the energy to deliver this for you all. Some of the things I'm going to be talking about will be directed towards advanced players. There's going to be some things that are going to be directed towards lower level players. I kind of just want to make this for everybody, so hopefully you'll learn something, or maybe you'll just enjoy the replay in general. But yeah, let's just get into this replay and see what happens. So I just want to start out by saying to all of you players who are lower league, you're starting out trying to learn StarCraft, and you really want to improve faster, the most important thing to do is simply click on things. The game is extremely mechanical at the beginning, and although there's lots of strategy to be had, ultimately, the more things you're capable of executing, the more you'll be able to think about what you're doing. So you really want to put an emphasis on what you're doing physically with the game. Just by clicking, you can box. Something that I did when I was first learning StarCraft was I would make big boxes like this and just try to select all my probes that were mining minerals. But yeah, getting back into what's going on in this current game, we'll fast forward a little bit. I just do a fairly standard, I believe I go gate, gas, cyber this game. That's what I want to say. Yeah, probe setup, do it. And I always go after the gate. And once the probe gets up here at about 126 usually, on every map, it's about 126, the barracks should be about finished, which it is, so this is looking fairly standard from my Terran opponent. If this barracks was finishing at about 130 plus, you might want to be concerned about proxy barracks somewhere on the map, and usually this late of a barracks would signify that there's going to be like a marauder push or something like that. But this is not the case this game, so we can continue on with our build as the Terran player is looking fairly standard. And say if his barracks was late, you want to go in here and confirm if he has taken both of his gases. But otherwise, I'm actually making a small mistake this game. This probe should not be going up here. It should instead be going down here and trying to block this CC from being produced. Generally, the production time will start at about 139-ish, but you could block this until 145. If you are a beginner player, I would not listen to this advice right now. Everything is going to be very random from game to game, and it's going to be very hard to be consistent if you're trying to rely on the information that your opponent is giving you. But say you're a Masters Plus player, this information is very relevant to you. So yeah, I still got down there in time, so everything worked out for me this game. I saw that he was mining from the one gas, delayed that for about 10 seconds, which is really good actually. But going back here, I put the pylon on the low ground. Nexus started at 20 supply, and start my second gas. You chrono out the first Adept. Obviously you don't want to lose the return. And I like to make a Stalker right away with this build, simply because it just feels it can deal with units in the air. So like say if they went a Liberator and you had 3 Adepts and robo units, you're not going to be able to deal with the Liberator, so it's just an auto loss there. Although Liberators are not a common opening from Terran anymore, I've just kind of continued to build off of the Adept Stalker opening. But if you would prefer to do Adept only opening, given that Liberators are not common anymore, that could completely work for you as well. And I like to make sure that I can keep the Adept out of range of scouting my robo. Because if they scout your robo facility, that gives them a lot of information that it could be a warp prism, so they're gonna build a Viking. They may build a cyclone. They're gonna build a unit that deals with the warp prism, and you kind of want to avoid that. Although it's not super important, if you can avoid it, you might as well. Look at that Reaper there, it's really good. The second barracks here, or gateway, sorry, I confuse my words a lot. Second gateway just to be extra safe, and then second Stalker's in production, everything's looking okay.
I'm here in the shadows.
Now we're about to get some information. So he builds a bunker on the low ground. That's really good for us because we're not planning to really do anything with our units anyways. This is actually fairly standard from Terran players, but some Terran players like to be very greedy. And we're always happy to see when they book the bunker. That goes in, sees that there's a reactor on the barracks. This doesn't really tell us too much. Generally, it's always going to be a reactor with the barracks. Sometimes they'll have their factory here, and it will be a reactor factory, so we can confirm that that build where it's going to be Hellions and a dropship coming into the main or going into the natural is not going to be a thing. But this could still mean many different things. It could still be a siege tank pressure, it could still be a racks opening, it could still be a Banshee, it could be Raven, it could be basically any other build you could think of other than the Hellion drop build. Going forward, I like to build an observer. Sometimes I'll delay my robo bay and get out 2 observers before anything else. And these pylons out here, having this information out here is super useful. If you have the extra APM to spare, I would always try to do this kind of play in every game that you can. So the robo bay, I need to go back a little bit. I'm gonna go back to when I started these gases. So we built the gases around 340. It's kind of important. I realize I didn't production tab a bit, but it's open now for you all. Game sounds might be a little loud too. Alright, the robo bay goes down at about 410. Forward. Build 2 observers. I built the 2 observers because you don't really get scouting information with the sentry. So by having the second observer, you're essentially eliminating a win condition where they went Banshee, went straight to your mineral line and just win the game. This eliminates that as long as you have good execution. And we'll have information on this side of the map, so we don't really have to worry about a Banshee coming in from this angle right here. We can worry about it coming in from here, well basically anywhere over here. So having our Stalkers in the middle here is probably the best play, because a lot of times they will go straight across the map like this into your natural, but having these pylons here gives us enough time to react if they went through the bottom part of the map into the main base. As I gain more information over here, I guess I move my Stalkers to the main. Honestly, it doesn't make much of a difference if you keep your Stalkers here or here. Both are good positions. But going back to the scout with the observer, let's see when this observer gets over here. This observer comes in, and what do we see? Okay, so we see a second racks, factory with nothing on it, and a reactor going with the starport. This is telling me that this is looking like a heavy bio opening, possibly 3 to 5 racks. Right now it's 3 racks, it'd be 5 racks soon if he decided. So I'm expecting drop play or a big front push with a bunch of bio units from him. So this is kind of a win condition for me, or a very good situation. It's not really a win condition, but it's a very strong position for me. My build order kind of counters his if he doesn't know what's coming, because when he moves across the map with all these Marines, I'm going to have a warp prism with the colossus in it. So this is the best situation for me. And I'm just gonna put this here. I put the warp prism here just because it gives you a little more information on the map. If you look on my mini map, I have all of this information out here. I'm not really scared of a drop coming into my base. And once you get the Colossus out, you're kind of safe versus everything. If you're having a hard time dealing with Terran pushes, you could build a couple of shield batteries, one right here. You could also put one right here. Maybe on this map specifically, you could put one here and one here. You can have all kinds of fun with it. I think I built this pylon here to build a shield battery over here and have like a more forward warp in position, because a lot of times you need a warp in the middle. You don't want to like move your focus too far away from the battles. Like if there's a big battle over here, this pylon goes down. I'm always thinking ahead. Usually if something went down, like you lose this base and pylon and shield battery, the game's generally over. But I always set myself up for the worst case scenario, because I like to come back in games. I believe. I'm a believer. Alright, the Colossus is out. Let's see what happens with this Colossus. So I see him move out, and immediately, let's count the kills on this thing. 2, 5, at 13 already. Let's watch this in slow motion. I'm moving a little fast with this. Ooh, this build is so fun. I've been doing this since 2012, everybody. I have always loved doing this build. It's really good practice too for your multitasking.
I'm here in the shadows.
Ideally, say you kill half as many units with this Warp Prism, you probably want to keep your Warp Prism and Colossus on your side of the map. But since I did kill so many units with my Colossus, I'm actually going to go ahead and try and do economical damage to my opponent now, because I know that I have enough units back here to defend against whatever he's going to throw at me.
I'm here in the shadows.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
If this ever happens to your Warp Prism, where it eats a Widowmine shot, it's almost always better just to play it safe and get out of there. But since I live life on the edge a lot of the time, I think I probably stick around this game. So for the rest of you, bring the Warp Prism and Colossus home. You will be doing yourself a huge favor if you listen to that advice.
In the shadows.
And then from here, you kind of just do whatever you want. The game's your canvas, ultimately. Remember to have fun. Win or lose, the game's gonna suck a lot of the time, but try to make the best of it as you can. And of course, you can always watch my Twitch page for live games of me doing Colossus drops and other fun strategies like Mass Oracles. Like Stalkers, if you'd want to tune in, it's twitch.tv/PUCKK. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and if you have any questions, just hit me up. Thank you, and good luck.